With our news at this hour. Now, those displaced by the Joburg CBD fire say they are now being told to vacate temporary shelters. They say electricity has been switched off and food donations halted. eNCA Bafedile Moerane is visiting their shelters to get a sense of what exactly is happening out in the area and what is to happen to those who were housed in these shelters. Bafedile, a very warm good morning to you. I mean, what do you hear on the ground regarding those who were displaced by that fire in Johannesburg?
Well, the victims are saying at this point in time, Tumelo, are really stranded. They're not knowing what to do, who to seek help from. It's about 4 shelters that we understand are housing about 501 individuals, which include the elders and also the kids. Where we are at one of the shelters, which is called Hofparkland Community Health Community Center, rather, where the community members are here. As you can see them on camera there, as they are sitting down with no work to do, having to say that there is no, actually no way, to start their life afresh, because a lot of them are saying that they have lost their belongings that they were doing business with. We understand that out of 501 of the residents, or the victims rather, about over 200 actually are South Africans, and some of them are actually from places like Tanzania and Mozambique, among others. So I would want to engage, before I go inside to show you the living conditions here, Dumelo, I want to engage with Grace here to hear, she's crying foul, really, having to say she feels like they are really being used, like they are being commercialized here. Grace, thank you so much for joining us. You spoke to us earlier before, and having to say that you feel like you are being commercially exploited. What do you mean by that? I'll hold for you.
In terms of being commercially exploited, what I mean there is that there have been so many cars from different organizations that has been coming. Many of them, they took pictures, some of them interviewed us. But today there's nothing even that has happened. We're still here and we feel like we've been dumped. You understand? So we don't know where to. So there are questions in our heart that, okay, even though some of the organizations that were here, there were ministries, the pastors and so on and so on. Okay, they might have done 1, 2, 3 for or helping themselves through us. But can't they say, okay, you guys at least hold this one? Because this is a crisis. You understand? This is tragedy. Because what has happened there is that we were under trauma. We are in pain. You understand? So, like now that they exploited us and dump us here. No, my question is that even our government, what are they saying? We've not been updated about anything. We've not been told. The city of Johannesburg last week was here. They had a meeting. We only heard that they were trying to give us a building at Kepler Park. I don't know what happened, because it's like there was a disagreement between them and the human rights that we should not be given that building due to the way, the nature of the building. So that's why I'm asking myself, where to from here? You see, so we don't know, and because people now are being chased out. That's because of the community now is also complaining about they used to formerly utilize the center. Yeah. So now if we are being chased out, where to from here? And what is they have not updated us since we have not been told anything. We want to hear the government saying something to us. Okay, guys, this is this. We've not been told. Home Affairs was here at the beginning of the whole thing. The documents they were like they are doing the documents, but no documents have been fixed. People who had their documents being banned, they have never been made documents for. And the documents, people that are having errors with their documents, nothing has been done about that. So no job hunting here, because people are stuck. Yes, people want to look for jobs, but what's going to be? How can you look for a job and then your documents are that other way around? So we're really asking ourselves, what's going to be?
People here are saying they haven't had food. You haven't had food. What's happening with the food issue?
the food issue there is that that's why I've said at the beginning that we feel like we've been dumped, because there were organizations that used to come that has been bringing food. I'm not sure why are they not coming anymore, you see. So, yeah, but what the expectation there of the people is that they should leave. The people should leave.
Well, thank you so much, Grace. Let me engage here to Belo Nosipo here. She was saying from your KwaZulu-Natal province, Mama. Yeah, and you're sleeping here. This is where you're sleeping. The situations here, you're explaining it's not a really nice situation for you, Mama.
Hayi situation esikuyo ayikho mnandi. Inzima kakhulu, silala ngaphandle, ngilala nabantwana lapha ngaphandle. Siyalamba kumantu bahambile baye esikolweni abadlanga, namanje sesikusile ngaze ngidle. Ukudla kuvalelwe la ngaphakathi. Asikaze sidle sesikusile. Then after that bazofika mabefika la ama management la khona mafika sithosa sihambe. Last sibize la metro futhi abantwana bethu ngapha spray. Basifusa ngapha spray besitshela ukuthi asiphume sihambe lana sibuze masiphuma soshona because mina nalo 2000 le abathi batholile abantu mina ngitholanga. Nalo 2000 le and anginandaba nayo mina into engikhalela indawo yokuhlala. Mabe nganginika indawo yokuhlala. Phela indawo yokuhlala nabantwana bami because angisabhilonge erufini kamama. Umama okay unendlu espray but nabantwana abayi4 ngeke ngihlalele nabantwana abayi4 endlini kamama. So kufanele ngithole indawo yami ebiza mina nabantwana bami ikhaya labantwana bami. Unless ngizobuyela back to a risk flat futhi ngiyohlala futhi eflatini engizoriska kakhulu.
When you came here in Joburg, you were hoping for greener pastures to get umsebenzi. Yeah. And what are you doing at this point?
Njengamanje ngiyarecyclila, ngiyapiece job, abantu bafuna bangwashela ngiyabawashela. Ngamapiece job ngomsebenzi anguthola ngiyafuna nguthola.
Well, thank you so much, Nosipo. As they're explaining there to Melo, having to say that the situation that they are living into is not really a conducive one. Let us show you in picture there. This is where some of them are sleeping. This is where they are sleeping, and having to say that they feel like they are being abused at this point in time, and they are calling to government and also the city of Johannesburg really to come down here and assist them, as they are saying that by the end of this week, they should leave the area. But what is the alternative? The question is that what's the alternative plan? Does the government have an alternative plan where they are going to give these people reliable accommodation? As you had Nosipo earlier on, having to indicate that they don't want to risk their lives again by going back to buildings that are really not conducive for a living. Let us now get inside. This is the situation on the ground. This is where these people are actually residing there, Tumelo. So a very terrible situation. So earlier on, we managed to speak to Nigel, who is a social worker who has been working with these victims here, trying to help them. Let us actually listen to what he said to us, Tumelo.
Well, it seems, Bafedile, we don't have that bite, unfortunately, to hear what Nigel had to say. But we just, as you're speaking, looking at the visuals right now of, people just lying down on mattresses in an open area. And one of the ladies that you also spoke to, speaking about how they have to be in these conditions with young children. Concerning is that food as well seems to be halted. I'm not sure if we had an opportunity, Bafedile, to speak to either the city of Johannesburg or even some of the NGOs as what could be the reasons why it seems that both food has been halted, but also moving the victims of the Joburg fire out in Marshalltown to alternative areas or even alternative shelters seems to also be at a deadlock at this point. Do you understand from the officials what could be happening behind the scenes?
Well, at this point, we only managed to speak to the activists who have actually been working with the victims here, who are saying that they also do not get the gist of the story as to why exactly the situation is like this at this point, why there is no solution as to when it comes to the issues of accommodation. There is no proper planning, and the victims are left stranded on their own. And also when it comes to the issue of food, the activists, some of the activists who are still on the ground having to work with them are saying that they are trying their level best, having to work with a number of churches in the city of Johannesburg, trying to get food for them, since the organizations that have been with them on the set, who have been on the ground with them since the incident of Marshalltown in August, they are no longer on the ground coming forward. And there's no clear indication as to what exactly is the reason behind this. Hence, we are seeing, as I earlier indicated that I spoke to Nigel, who's saying that at this point in time, he is engaging a number of lawyers and the Human Rights Commission to see how they can help these victims that are left stranded on their own. So let us listen to what Nigel had to say to us earlier on the Tubelo, as we intend to go later on to get answers from the city of Johannesburg as to what is the plan with the victims.
What's urgently needed is for proper long-term plans for all of the people that are in the shelter. At the moment, what government has done is it's tried to evict them from the shelter. These are people, there were 78 plus people killed in the fire disaster. There's over 500 people displaced, and people were brought to the shelter. At the shelter, we now have around 70 people who still remain here. Some of the people were given 2,000 to 4,000 rand and told they must go and find alternative accommodation and reset up their lives with just that little measly amount of money. And the disaster management officials have been constructively trying to evict them. They've been telling them to leave. So we actually need to say to the city that actually this is their responsibility to take care of these people. At the moment, since the money was given, no food has been given to that. So many of the people here have not received any of the money, in fact. And no food is being given. There's babies here. Around 10 children are here at the moment. I think there's 12 women and about 54 men. And there's no provision of any services being provided to them. Disaster management left. Yesterday, disaster management came here. They threw the donations that had been received for the victims onto the ground and said, "Here, take your stuff, you must go now." So it's incredibly dehumanizing what disaster management is doing. So essentially we need the community to rally around and to say, we are here to protect the most vulnerable. It's up to us. It's up to us ordinary South Africans to say we will not chase people away who are vulnerable. We will stand with them and we'll make sure that they are cared for. Our constitution actually requires the government provide these people with alternative accommodation.
Well, of course, we'll have to leave it then. Thank you so much, Bafedile Moerane, for this update for us.